Park Avenue, and then we'll take it higher.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional home to the Game Sports Show, Canadian franchise Boston Pizza. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, located on 601 Great Northern Road, Sault Ste. Marie. Come in and join Boston Pizza for its numerous specials that are offered. After 9 p.m. daily, come in to Boston Pizza for $9 schooners, $4 rail drinks, and delicious food. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, you're among friends.
Booyah! And it's time for the Game Sports Show. It's yours truly, David McKeag, here live at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie. And we're here like we are every Thursday. It's myself, Dave McKeag, alongside Brad Cocciamillo to my left and Justin Heiko right in front of me here in our very own special spot at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie. I'm going to get the fellas to come on in just a few moments. Just going to get through the usual introduction portion, as always, that we do here on the Game Sports Show. And as I mentioned, we're here at Boston Pizza, and it's after 9 p.m., and you know what that means. We're here for their daily specials, where it's the $4 bar rails, the $9 schooners for the Molson Canadian and Coors Light products, and we also have the 50% off appetizers here at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, where you are among friends. In addition to Boston Pizza being home to the Game Sports Show, there's additional home to the Game Sports Show as well. Sports Center Bar and Grill, Sault Ste. Marie. And also, additional sponsors here in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, Discover the Canvas, The Salon, The Superior Pro Shop, Big Brother, Big Sister, and Northern Critters in Need. And over to the other side of the border, we got another home to the Game Sports Show, The Wicked Sister, and then we have the Pingator Cleaners as a sponsor for the show as well. And for the Game Sports Show, you can follow us on thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Again, that's the Game Sports Show, all one word, .podbean.com. You can simply just follow us on that page by simply, as I mentioned, hitting follow, or type it in your email after accessing it through my Facebook page. Simply just click the link that has been shown on previous shows, or the gamesportshow.podbean.com link on my Facebook page, where that is David McKeag's Facebook page. You click it and you can simply follow it. If you do it through your mobile phone, it might ask you to download the Podbean app. There's no issue with that. Just download the Podbean app. It's free, and it's also a website where there's many other podcasts you can enjoy as well, in addition to following us, the Game Sports Show. You can go to the Game Sports Show website as well, www.thegamesportshow.com. The website has been active for about a month now, but the main front page you'll see is still under construction, as we are awaiting the completion of our model pictures and our new logo that is being created by one of our sponsors' own, Katrina Thibodeau from Discover the Canvas, will be designing the logo for the Game Sports Show that will be incorporated in the pictures that will be put on the website when completed. We have the plan of completion, got the date yesterday. It'll be done by April 30th for sure, with the logo and with the pictures as well. And you'll be able to see the pictures throughout the town as well. Throughout here in Sault Ste. Marie, you're going to go to different locations, get pictures of myself, Justin, Brad, Dustin, Jamie, and Scott, and Dane Hantrell. Get to see all the fellas in there looking nice and dolled up for pictures, and you could definitely give us some feedback on those pictures. Let us know how you feel, if we actually looked as good as we, and I don't know if I looked better than Brad Cocciamillo himself here to my left. But without further ado, I'm going to bring the panel on in before I state what the agenda is going to be this evening. Fellas, going over to Brad first. Brad, I handed you with that comment with that model pictures. I'm going to you first. First off, that hair you had was flowing for those model pictures. And how you doing, pal?
Hey, couldn't ask for a better intro, right? Get slicked up, get dressed up nice. Yep. Hey, things are good, buddy.
Absolutely. Good to know things are good, and those pictures are certainly going to be great. Brad, you can certainly catch a lot of your articles on Soo Today as well. You're here on behalf of Soo Today. And the guy in front of me, who's been with the Game Sports Show for, it has been 3 years, and he hasn't gone sick of me in general. I don't know if it's just because of how much he likes to do the show, but after doing the show with me for that long, and even working with me previously to that, a good old OLG. Tell the listeners how you've been able to handle working with me, first off. And secondly, how you doing, my friend?
Well, usually one jug at a time is how we handle that. Couple glasses, but one jug, 3 glasses, you know the breakdown. But not bad, you know. Drinks are cold, just like the weather we got right now on April 12th. 15 centimeters of snow so far this week. We'll take it. Nice spring playoff weather.
It is still winter, it feels like. I can't even consider it. I can't even say the word spring without laughing because it's still winter, in my opinion. Still getting that snowfall. But the snow's not staying. It is kind of going and coming and going, but we keep getting the snow during the day. Then at night it just melts away. Then the day it repeats, and we've got that slush feeling. It's that gross, disgusting feeling right now that we have out in the weather. And fellas, we're here on a night that we have a pretty packed agenda. And to jump right into that agenda right now, and tell you right off the hop here after we complete our introduction portion, we're going to be discussing the Toronto Blue Jays briefly, myself and Brad. Then we're going to be discussing, of course, the unfortunate tragedy of the Humboldt Broncos, a topic that we did touch on the Game Sports Show yesterday, myself and Jamie, but just slightly. We're going to get more in depth into it today and share some experiences, discuss it as well, and how I still can't swallow without, heaving without just can't believe what happened for that. It's such a tragedy for sure. And then moving on with the show, we're going to be discussing the NOJHL update with the Sioux Thunderbirds being eliminated from Ray Sight's hands. We have the Soo Greyhounds who tied up the series yesterday. We're going to jump into that. And then we're going to have some NHL talk. And we know there's a lot of NHL talk because the playoffs did get underway tonight, especially for myself and Justin's Toronto Maple Leafs. Definitely a rough conclusion to that game. So we're going to get into all those and all the first-round matchups, followed by our famous multiple-choice segment as well. And the one thing I will not forget, as I usually never forget, the trivia question that's put in through the entire show. The show is going to have the question be stated actually right now, and I'm going to give you the winner of last week's and the question for this week. It's going to be quick. The winner of last week was actually nobody. There was no response correct with the question from last week. And after having a mid-discussion with Aaron, we are going to ask the same question as we did last week. Did get some emails. The question was stated wrong by those respective individuals that answered the question. The question, again, is what jersey in Boston Pizza Sault Ste. Marie is not signed? Again, what jersey in Boston Pizza is not signed? We're giving everyone a second chance to come on into Boston Pizza to give us that answer. And that answer, you go to the Game Sports Show, ssm@gmail.com. Again, that's the Game Sports Show, ssm@gmail.com. The question again is what jersey is not signed here in Boston Pizza? We had no correct answers last week. We're giving everyone a chance to get the question right for next week here for the show where we can announce the winner. Hopefully we get some right answers for next week, or we will have to obviously change up the question. And how can you get the answer? Let me give you a little tip now. Walk into Boston Pizza, enjoy their after 9 p.m. daily specials, look around the sports bar and see what jersey's not signed. Send in your answer to the Game Sports Show, ssm@gmail.com. Fellas, going to bring you on into this right now. More so Brad at this current point in terms of the kind of the baseball update in terms of the Toronto Blue Jays before we jump to the Humboldt discussion, which is going to take up pretty much mostly of our introduction portion here today. Quickly with the Toronto Blue Jays, team is doing really well right now. I'm pretty pleased with the Toronto Blue Jays' performance, being second in the AL East, if you even want to say that right now, being this early in the season, being 8-5. The Blue Jays dropping only one game in Baltimore, and the Blue Jays showing that they have a lot of home run power. And Donaldson says his arm is still feeling kind of dead. Aaron Sanchez throwing a no-hitter up until the 8th inning, and before losing that, the no-hitter. The Blue Jays winning 2 on that game, again a home run. It was Curtis Granderson in the 9th inning. Seeing Curtis Granderson still hit home runs, doing a great job. Love seeing that. He's a great fit, I think, for the Toronto Blue Jays. All in all, Brad, I'm going to you. The Toronto Blue Jays, they came into this year having the top 10 rated pitching rotation in baseball. People expected them to be a wild card team. Us on the show here, we've discussed how we're unsure how they're going to be, if they're going to be a team that is going to be that wild card team or if they're going to struggle. Tulowitzki being on the DL right away to start the year, that we're not surprised. Obviously, that is something that Tulowitzki's been plaguing him for most of his career. And now Kendrys Morales hitting the 10-day DL as well with his hamstring, being a guy who can hit a lot of home runs. The Blue Jays, though, in general, what can you rate their play up to this point? And going into a series against Cleveland tomorrow, Cleveland's a pretty club right now who's been kind of struggling to find runs, but definitely a team on paper that is to be watched. There's a team that people predicted to be a division winner favorite. Do the Blue Jays, they have to maintain status quo? Is that a good thing to say? Go into the game, do the same plan you've been doing, go in there, feel relaxed. They look relaxed on the field. They're not making errors. They're keeping the game simple, and I think that's the way the Blue Jays have to face it this year if they want to have any success and get into the playoffs.
Yeah. you look at the way things started, and let's face it, after game one, we sat here and we were pretty critical of that team, and
Everybody was.
Yeah, but that was a situation where it was, hey, it's only game one. And they're at a point right now. And again, you're only 13 games in. There's still 149 games left. But
Yes.
I mean, just at this point, you go into every series, essentially looking to win 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4, 1 out of 2. Just keep yourself consistent. It's tough to do it in a 162 game season, but this is a team that's off to a pretty good start. At 8-5, you talk about Cleveland. I mean, like you said, that's a team that's struggled at times to find runs, but it's a very good Cleveland ball club. I mean, they're 8-5 at this point too, so
yes, they are.
They're in a not so great division. They're going to be seeing a lot of my Tigers this year, and probably giving my Tigers a lot of their 100 losses this year. But yeah, I mean, you know what? I mean, the Jays are in a position where they're playing pretty good baseball right now, and there's reason to be excited about this ball club. I mean, they're a team that's done some things very well this year. They've gotten a good effort of you mentioned Curtis Granderson, former Tiger. Yeah. Just saying.
Yankee.
And Yankee.
Sure.
He's a guy who's come in and contributed well, and they're going to need that over the course of the year. They're going to need different guys to contribute on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely, and this is a team that is in a division that's extremely competitive with the Red Sox and the Yankees and the Orioles. I'm not counting out the Orioles. Even the Rays aren't. The record shows that they're a very not competitive team at this point, but when you have a season starting against the Red Sox, who have just come out of the gate on fire, I kind of got to give a little credit to the Rays. And as I said with the Indians, there's a team that is 8-5, trouble to find a little bit of runs, but at home they're 6-1, and the Jays got to go to Progressive Field and trying to find a way to win in Cleveland to try to keep up. And the big thing is you don't want to get too far behind early, because then you're always trying to catch up, and that's the big thing in baseball. You always want to maintain and keep up with the pack. And then going into the middle, higher parts of the year, the Blue Jays have always flourished. And again, I know if they can maintain the consistency of winning games and stay above that 500 mark, they can remain competitive for the year. But definitely Cleveland being in a division that's not as competitive. There's other teams, though, in other divisions that are doing well. You got the Los Angeles Angels, 10-3. Shohei Ohtani is amazing. Everything's pitching with hitting. You have the Mets, who are 10-1 right out of the gate. You have the Texas Rangers are a team that's 4-10 that fans are not pleased there. Houston Astros, that are a team that's 9-4. There's a team that I think will still surpass the Angels to win the division. The Cubs being 6-6, that's a surprise for me right out of the hop. The Pirates 9-3. Arizona, who's 9-3 as well. The Dodgers 4-7. The season's really kind of beginning of the year is really too early to tell. But as I said, you want to try to start hot and build that momentum, and teams like the Angels, the Astros, heck, even the Mets, like as I mentioned, the Pirates, but also the Red Sox, you want to keep that up. You want to keep that winning up so you keep the momentum going forward for the entirety of the season. But one thing I want to bring out, and I know you guys can attest to this with the New York Yankees, I sat here at Boston Pizza and told you guys that first game of the year, Aaron Judge will hit 32, Giancarlo Stanton will hit 48. Was the number that I gave. And the reason why I bring up is Giancarlo Stanton last, because I'm going to lead off with this point right now. The guy is a strikeout king right now, and he's getting booed out of Yankee Stadium. Now,
Who hasn't been booed?
literally, but coming from a Jays fan, that makes me grin. The money that they've invested in Giancarlo Stanton, and the guy who hasn't lived up to the expectation, as they say. But again, it's so early this year. It's 12 games in, for Christ's sake. You kind of got to figure out that if it's going to be this early, but you don't want to upset the guy. You don't want to upset the guy right out of the hop. The guy is just getting new to a new uniform, new stadium, new everything still. But would you be worried about Giancarlo with all this booing that's going on this early in the year, Brad?
Not at all. I mean, these guys are pros. It will get in your head a little bit, but I mean, these guys are paid professionals. They're paid to play a sport. I mean, they're in a position where they should be able to adjust, and he will. I mean, he's a guy who's an unbelievable talent, and if I'm one of his teammates, I'm not worried about how he handles that at all. I mean, everybody knows going and playing in New York is tough in any sport, especially when you're a Yankee. Yeah. He expected this. I would be shocked if he went into this and said, well, no, they'll be fine. No, as soon as you're not playing well, you're a bum. I mean, it's that simple. To Yankees fans, if you're not playing well, you're a bum. And, that's a situation where I'm sure every guy going to New York to play for the first time gets it. And I think that's one thing. It's, maybe at first it might be a little tough, but that's going to be something that's going to be out of his head, and, he's going to be in a position where he's going to be fine going forward.
He's in a home run friendly ballpark too, and being at the Rogers Center and 2 out of the gate, Yankees fans got to chill out a little bit, in my opinion. So that's going to wrap up the kind of the Blue Jays segment throughout the entire summer. We're going to have the Blue Jay discussion here as the season goes on. As here on the Thursday show, we discuss hockey and baseball, both on and off the season, and local and professional. Whereas you obviously know Wednesdays is variety, mostly towards basketball and football, where we do a Sports Center Bar and Grill. Then Monday, once again, we do a lot of local sports and national coverage in that second hour. So in terms of Boston Pizza, we're going to be discussing lots of Blue Jays as the season keeps on going and as the NHL season begins to wrap up. But, the NHL season, the second season right now, as I'd like to say, is kind of in full flight. So we got the mix of both, but we're going to have the mix of both between hockey and baseball throughout the entirety of the show here at Boston Pizza. So that's going to wrap up an edition with the Toronto Blue Jays currently. As we move on to our next topic, we're going to jump into hockey. And a little note, this is definitely a sad topic for listeners that have heard all about this. All right, this is not news. By now, this is something this is the first that we've discussed here on the Game Sports Show, though, for the Thursday edition. Yesterday, myself and Jamie on the Sports Center edition of the Game Sports Show did a little brief introduction portion of the Humboldt Broncos, but we're going to jump into a more detailed and kind of comment-based portion right now. As I mentioned, the Thursday show here at Boston Pizza, we discuss the hockey end, and with myself being tied with junior hockey as well, and being a hockey player, and here everyone at this table being a part of being on a sports team and having those bus rides, and the Humboldt Broncos and the city of Humboldt and the hockey world faced a tragedy in terms of the Humboldt Broncos team getting into that unbelievable crash, forcing 16 deaths and many individuals injured as well, leaving certain individuals also paralyzed as well. For the entirety, this is something that's going to stick with them for the entirety of their life, right? You have something like this happen. It brought the world together, and it has brought the world together in so many ways. Individuals having the sticks put on the porch, having jersey days at work today in support of the Humboldt Broncos, GoFundMe pages, Boston Bruins and Toronto Maple Leafs splitting the 50-50 draw throughout the entirety of the first round of the series, going towards the Humboldt Broncos initiatives. And you have an individual that Brad, there was paralyzed from the neck down, who is already devoted that he has a goal to get into sledge hockey. This unbelievable story and tragedy. The memorial that occurred on Sunday was very, very sad. And the city of Humboldt has pulled together, and the world has come together, and I want everyone to know in Humboldt, supporters that we are here, everyone's here, Canada and the world are backing you up in this fatal tragedy. And Justin, I'm going to go to you first to discuss the Humboldt tragedy, and unbelievable how sad it is, obviously, but it's also unbelievable how much everyone has come together in support of Humboldt.
Well, it's definitely messed up. Like, it's sad. It still bugs me. Like, this is one of those things that kind of rocks you a little bit. Just being in, I don't want to say we're a small town, but we're in Northern Ontario. Going to school or playing sports in Northern Ontario, you don't have the same luxury as kids in Southern Ontario. We go on bus trips. It's not a complaint. It's not anything. That's the reality of living in Canada. It's no different in Ontario. It's no different in Manitoba. It's no different in Saskatchewan. It's a way of life of playing organized sports in Canada. Sometimes you got some weekends on the road. Sometimes you got weekends at home. But the buses, I can say it. You make some of your best friends on the bus. It's just you spend so much time with these guys where you're almost family. It's prepares you good, for good work habits later in life too. It's just for something like that, where in my head is kind of a sacred childhood place. Like, these guys are still young adults. Like, they're kids in my books. And for something so sacred like that to just have such a horrible tragedy be thrown upon it, it's just messed up. But for every situation like that, there's a chance to react and see how we can be better on the other side of it. And I mean, the country so far, not even the country, like, this is hockey fans, the hockey family has seemed to have pulled together, and it's just crazy the amount of support you see pouring in. Like, it's between, what is it, I think $10 million so far on the GoFundMe page. So it's good. I don't know, it gives you that good warm feeling inside to see how all this pulls back together. But it's just still like the raw emotion of the tragedy is what's bugging me still.
It is unbelievable, and as I said, with everyone coming together, we saw that what got me was a picture of the Slapshot tape, the Slapshot DVD disc, and being on many road trips and having that experience watching the movies with the boys, and even putting in Rock'em Sock'em videos with Don Cherry, or putting in the Step Brothers was a movie that we watched a lot. Wolf of Wall Street, even when it first came out, it was Anchorman. All these movies you watch for Slapshot, Miracle. There's so many hockey movies, and sticking to the hockey, seeing that DVD was something that got me and choked me up. Was that, and with the Hanson brothers donating $100,000 as well to that. So everybody coming together and full of it, and that's where it is your second dressing room, is that bus. When you go to the rink, everything that happens to you in life, anything, if it's happiness, sadness, anger, any kind of emotion you feel outside of life, when you go to the rink, you're able to drop all that. You're around your second family. You're around your friends. You're around your boys. You're around everybody that you, and also it's the same thing for girls as well. You're around your girls, whatever it may be. You're around people. You are able to zone out everything else in life, and you're able to focus on something that you love. Not saying you may not love what you're doing outside of hockey or outside of at work or anything like that, but hockey is that escape where nothing else matters. It's just the matter of being in the moment with your friends. You're in that dressing room, you're sharing stories. That locker room is sacred for boys and girls. What happens in that locker room stays in that locker room. What happens on that bus stays on that bus. And I don't mean that in any kind of way that's inappropriate. I just mean in a way that that's your time where you have that trust. And that's the main thing about family and friends, isn't it? It's about trust. It's about having that faith in one another and being on buses numerous trips and playing on different teams and all that. With that experience, that's a time in life where you reflect and you always say, you know what, maybe that's not so bad what happened to me today. I have my friends with me. And that's where on the bus you feel protected and comfortable. And it's something that is a tragedy that we haven't experienced, and I couldn't imagine how the families feel. My condolences go out especially. And as I mentioned, everyone's coming strong for it. And Brad, get your thoughts on it to echo, more what Justin said. I'm sure you got your points as well. But definitely having everything come together is still upsets me to this point. But one thing, too, that I kind of want you to touch on as well is a player from there, Logan Goulet, has signed for his organ donors papers on his 21st birthday. And this occurred. And now he is donating. The organs are going to be donated based on the tragedy of this death. But he's going to be saving lives of others. So his father had the quote that he is saving lives beyond the grave, taking that negative into a positive, which I fully respect. So I want to get to your point and comments on that with Logan, and also your points on the tragedy.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, I still remember finding out. It was Friday night, leaving the SR Center after Game 2 of the Soo Owen Sound Series, walking out of the building, and just scrolling through social media on my way to the car like I've done every single night for every Greyhound game I cover, and you're seeing news of a bus crash. And then we think there's a hockey team involved. And then you find out that there's going to be multiple fatalities. And then you start seeing the pictures coming in. And I can't imagine I really can't imagine what it's like. That's something that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy, is to be anyone involved, whether it's the truck driver or anybody involved with that hockey club, whether it's a parent, a billet family, teammates, because let's face it, there are a number of teammates that survived that crash.
Yes. Yeah.
And to go through life with that, and I'm sure it's going to bring those handful of guys a lot closer together. And I mean, let's face it, we all know hockey brings guys together. Some of my best friends are guys I played hockey with growing up. There are a lot of guys that I traveled on the bus with that, we may not talk every day, but every time we get together, it's remember that time on the bus to Sudbury, or remember that tournament in wherever. Further to your point, I'm in a position where hockey is still a big part of my life. It's a part of my career, and I'm in a position where, you kind of hit it on the head. It's still, even for me doing what I do, going to the rink, like say Friday night, going to watch the Greyhounds in Owen Sound for Game 5. And I get out of everything. Even for me, it doesn't matter how bad things are going. I get to the rink, and for that 5 or 6 hours I'm at the rink, nothing else matters. And that's what it's like as a player. And it's, it was really tough. I have a friend who's out there that covers that league. He's based out of North Battleford, Saskatchewan. And it affects everybody. There were, between players and, their broadcaster, the funeral for their broadcaster was this morning, 29 years old, our age. It's one of those things that I can't even imagine. And, it's good that, there are some positives in terms of, like you said, the organ donation is such a great story. It's tragic. Yeah. And it's tragic that it had to happen from something like this. Or, you look at the one kid on that team who, he's basically said he wants to play for the Canadian sledge hockey team. He's paralyzed from the neck down, but wants to play for the Canadian sledge hockey team if at all possible. He wants to keep the dream alive. And you know what? He's a far stronger person than I am, because I can't even imagine what I would be going through if I was in that situation. I know how rattled I was when I found out, and how rattled I still am right now. I can't even imagine being a person who was involved in that. I really can't.
No, absolutely not. You know what? It's hit home for a lot of us due to the fact of it being such a tragedy. Then you also think of those memories of the times that you've had with your former teammates, and those times that you had in those tournaments, those bus rides, those games. And definitely hashtag Humboldt Strong. They've definitely shown that point, and it has been announced that the league is going to be continuing the playoffs, and I think the plan is this weekend's games. Things are going to be more announced with that. So, and I imagine more tribute will be played to Humboldt. And the donations, you can go to the GoFundMe page for the the GoFundMe page for the Humboldt Broncos. You can donate on there. Go on there and donate some money. Anything will help. Just go on there, type in your Visa, type in a certain amount of money that you want to put in there. Whatever you can put in for information, any little bit helps to go towards this Humboldt tragedy and the families that are in need of these donations, and also in need of the support of us that we've most certainly have all given the world. But it's always good to continue giving with this. So please check out the GoFundMe page to donate. And also you can do to the Boston Bruins, to the website for their online 50-50. Which is learned to me today about the online 50-50. It's kind of news for me to hear. I'm not sure about you guys hearing about online 50-50. Boston Bruins have that, and you can donate on that and be a part of the 50-50 draw for the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Boston Bruins, and you can be a part of help raising money towards the Humboldt Broncos tragedy as well. Fellas, Dave McKay here alongside Brad Cocciamillo and Justin Heichel. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from our sponsors, and when we come back, we're going to be discussing NOJHL and OHL hockey here, so don't go anywhere or touch that dial.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional home to the Game Sports Show, Canadian franchise Boston Pizza. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, located on 601 Great Northern Road, Sault Ste. Marie. Come in and join Boston Pizza for its numerous specials that are offered. After 9 p.m. daily, come in to Boston Pizza for $9 schooners, $4 rail drinks, and delicious food. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, you're among friends.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank a list of additional sponsors.
North Shore Sports and Auto, new location located on 647 McDonald Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie. A family-owned and operated business with doing business in Sault Ste. Marie for over 10 years. Loads of products available for your enjoyment for all seasons. North Shore Sports and Auto, we understand the importance of quality service and products, and we work hard to ensure that all customers have a positive experience before and after each and every sale. North Shore Sports and Auto, meeting all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Special thanks to Salon. The Salon, located on 589 2nd Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. Book your appointment today at 705-941-9191 or via online at https://thesalonsoo.as.me-. The Salon, making the Soo beautiful, one haircut at a time. As well as a shout out to the Soo Pee Wee Pro Shop. The Soo Pee Wee Pro Shop, located inside the Community First Credit Union Soo Pee Wee Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Monroe. Soo Pee Wee Pro Shop, for over 40 years, meet all of your skate sharpening, skate repair, and hockey needs. Also to Discover the Canvas. Discover the Canvas, located on 317 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. A beautiful, new renovated building owned and operated by expert artist and Sioux native Katrina Thibodeau. Katrina taking her talents of the ink in Sault Ste. Marie and truly creating the best and most realistic art locally. Call Katrina today at 705-450-8099 or email her at discoverthecanvas@gmail.com to book your tattoo or consultation today.
Hi, this is Joe Bowen, and you're listening to the Game Sports Show from Sault Ste. Marie.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. It's yours truly, David McKeag, here live at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, alongside the usual, Brad Couchmelio and Justin Heichel. We're missing the other one of the usual, Dane Hancho, who's made his truck gone back to Red Lake. Best wishes to Dane. I still haven't heard from him getting down to Red Lake, but I know he has made it there, and he's getting ready for a fun-filled summer fighting forest fires. Speaking of fires, in terms of what the heck happened, what exploded, and what erupted, I don't know if that's the best analogy to use for it, but we're going to go with it because we just can. And we're going to jump into the second part of the show with the NOJHL talk. As in the second part, we're going to discuss NOJHL and the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, who were caught under a little bit of fire themselves, being down 2-1 in the series before tying it up. There's how the analogy fits. There we go. I put it together before I moved on with the points. But we're going to start with the NOJHL. The NOJ, as I would like to call it still. The Sioux Thunderbirds losing in 6 games, as we predicted, to terms of being 6 or 7 game series. Coming out the wrong end, though, as we predicted the Thunderbirds would be a team that could overcome Rayside, but unfortunately lost Monday, which was April the 9th this week. They lost 4-1 to Rayside to be ousted from the NOJHL playoffs, and Rayside is moving on to the finals against the Cochrane Crunch. Brad, I know you were there, front and center for the Sioux Thunderbirds. The Sioux Thunderbirds losing. And we were planning to have Joey Miller and John Parco come on by the show tonight, but for given circumstances, we were going to be prolonging that until next week, or perhaps the week after, before everything settles down and the playoffs are completed. As the plan was originally for them to perhaps be here to discuss the championship round, which would have started tomorrow, and which for them, but obviously now it starts for Rayside and Cochrane, Friday the 13th, 7 p.m. in Sudbury, in Chelmsford. Let me correct myself there. But Brad, the Sioux Thunderbirds losing. What happened? How did it happen?
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's a disappointing thing, but this is and it's not an excuse. But this was a team that had a lot of turnover from last year. There was, a little bit of uncertainty in terms of the coaching situation and whether Jordan Smith was going to be back or when he eventually doesn't come back and John Parco takes over. And I'll say this right now, John Parco did a great job coaching this hockey club this year between himself, Mark Desano, and Toots Kovacs as assistant coaches. Those 3 guys did an outstanding job with this team, and I'm sure if you ask the players, they were probably happy with the way the year went overall. It's a disappointing finish. I mean, these were 2 teams that finished 3 points apart and were battling for top spot in the NOJHL's West Division, basically right down to the last week of the season. So, these were 2 teams that were pretty evenly matched. And like you said, this was a series we expected to go 6 games and, 6 or 7 games, and it did. It ends in 6. And, the biggest thing for me, and, it's a little bit sidetracked, but was the suspension issues.
Yes.
I believe it was James White was the kid from Rayside.
Yeah.
gets suspended for 10 games for a hit on Cameron Baber. It was a blindside hit. I've watched the video more than once. It was 100%. It was a blindside hit as far as I was concerned. That situation, I feel like it should have been upheld. I admit I'm a little disappointed in the league for. Play. Well, that's the thing, and I mean that was, and the thing is, as much as the white kid from Rayside doesn't have a history with the league, there is a history between those two clubs. Evan Crassie, who returned in that series, and I believe scored a goal in Game 6 in that series. Evan Crassie served 10 games for a hit on Cameron Baber in the last regular season meeting between those two clubs. Cameron Baber missed, I believe it was 4 or 6 games. The team didn't officially announce it, but I'm pretty sure it was probably a concussion.
Yeah. From what I understand, that's what I was told. From discreet sources, obviously.
Yeah. So there was a history between those two clubs, and I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say Rayside went and exploited that, knowing that Baber was a health risk in that sense. But let's face it, anyone who's played the sport knows that if you get one concussion, it's that much easier to get a second and a third and potentially a fourth. And I'm not going to say that Rayside went out and went out headhunting, because that would be totally unfair, because I have no basis to say that. But I will say, let's face it, players know this, and you're going to try to get any advantage that you can. I'm not saying that the kid from Rayside went out and actively was trying to hurt Cameron Baber, because I really believe he wasn't. But I also believe that hit, and I had this debate with somebody, I believe that hit deserved 10 games because it was a blindside hit. Yeah. And that is the exact stuff that, whether it's the NOJHL, the OHL, the NHL, every league is trying to get that stuff out of the game. And as far as I'm concerned, the only way you're going to get it out of the game is punishing players and sticking to it. And as far as I'm concerned, the NOJHL didn't do that.
Absolutely, they didn't. I couldn't agree more, my friend. 100%. They did not. That hit was dirty. I don't care where the puck was or how it left his feet and went somewhere else. Baber had no idea the history between the teams. He didn't play. Cameron did not play at all, and that's a pretty big loss to the Sioux Thunderbirds.
And he's a kid with a bright future in the game. I mean, he played a handful of games for the Saginaw Spirit this year, and by all accounts, played very well in those games. Yeah. So, this is a kid with a bright future in the game. Not to say that, these Rayside players don't have a future in the sport, but I mean, this is a kid who's a high-end player, and that's, not that you should be taking that into account, but I think in the appeal process, you should almost take that into account that, this wasn't a situation where Cameron Baber gets knocked out of that game and is playing 2 games later. Cameron Baber, we didn't see him the rest of that series. And I believe that was in game 1. Yeah. We didn't see him the rest of that series. So that was a situation where that injury was probably a lot worse than people expected, maybe right off the hop. Because, I mean, realistically, the hit itself, it wasn't a devastating hit in the sense that, it wasn't like some of the blindside hits where you see players go flying, but it was a blindside hit. And, I mean, like I said, I'm just really disappointed in the way the league handled it.
Oh, they definitely handled it incorrectly. And at the end of the day, Justin, I'll go to you for a point in terms of suspensions getting upheld or getting appealed to get knocked down either. This hit was dirty, in my opinion. Was definitely not something that should have been granted to get appealed and go less. This happens. It seems to happen in sports. Now they look and they factor in the history of players, but Baber being a guy who's obviously targeted. There's a guy who has OHL talent, high level hockey talent. Not saying that White didn't or anyone else didn't, but at the end of the day, I've always said the notion of you're out for as long as you injure the player for. I've always liked that rule, and you can't do that at the pro level. That's completely different. Can't do it, but I think they can start implementing it in the junior NOJHL ranks. It will make you think twice. The game's different than what it used to be, I understand, but that's maybe a little severe. But this is probably his second concussion. The first one was unofficial. I can tell you from sources that are unconfirmed, and no, these sources are not in relation or affiliated with the Thunderbirds, so anyone can erase that. I just know these sources externally of the organization, because I would never ask friends of the organization to tell me this point, being in media. So I know these confirmation from outside the organization that Baber obviously suffered a concussion. So I can tell you right now, The guy missed the entire playoffs. Rayside wins. I use that as an excuse, but the guy comes back and plays. I don't agree with it. I don't. So my point to give it to you, Justin, is the Thunderbirds losing. What direction does the team go? Do you maintain status quo, or do you try to get young guys to come back and attract young guys to play for the team and build young and get that supremacy back? And the second question is the suspension question. What's your take on suspension being upheld or denied or appealed?
Well, I think you want to keep bringing young guys in and just create that environment and build up that way. I think they had a really good year this year, and I think you build off that, bring in some young guys in and get them in that winning environment and build a culture. I don't really see how you can go wrong with that. As far as the suspension goes, this really rubs me the wrong way, because regardless of the level of league or realistically in the last little while the sport, everyone is willing to beat this drum to the public where we need to make our game safer. We're going to add these rules to the game that make the game take 3 hours longer than it's supposed to. We're going to, make rules that take hockey plays or football plays, or they take those natural plays out of the game and make players have to stop and think, and instead create more opportunities in which stuff can go sideways.
100%.
But then, so let's moving forward. Players adapt. The games change to adapt to these new rules. So when stuff goes sideways and you have an incident like this happens, where a good quality player, like a team carrying caliber player, goes down like this, and you throw down a suspension, 10 games. Was that what it was? It was 10 games?
It was 10 games.
So 10 games, right? That's a pretty... Okay. That's a pretty big, that's a pretty big suspension. But then what are you saying to the rest of the league when you just, never mind, it's 3 games? Well, we're trying to make this game safer, but we need our product to be competitive. So 3 games. Not saying that that's the case, but more so in the professional high-end league end of things, that's what they're doing. And we drop this suspension down because we need so-and-so to play. Or, Brad Marchand isn't getting the suspension because the playoffs are next week. It's just that you start to see more and more of that happen, but then when low-end players, and I don't mean to say low-end in regards to their skill set, but when players that aren't so high-profile, where things like this happen, well, they get the book thrown at them. Yeah. That's ridiculous. We could go on for days and examples like this, but in a junior level like this, you need to uphold suspensions to create better habits if you want to change the game down the road. If you want to create habits where you're not going to have these issues at the NHL level, it's not going to change by creating, rule changes at the NHL level. It's going to change by instilling these habits in these young kids, and just appealing suspensions and showing that players can get away with this doesn't. You don't change anything. Yeah. It's insanity.
Good points. As always, gentlemen, Dave McKeag alongside Brad Kuchmilian and Justin Heichel here at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie for the Game Sports Show, our Thursday edition at Boston Pizza, where you can come out and enjoy after 9 p.m. their $4 bar rails and their $9 schooners for the most Canadian Coors Light products that we're certainly enjoying currently, and their half-price off appetizers, and just the great food in general, like their spicy pierogi pizza that we are currently enjoying. And for the Thunderbirds being eliminated, it's time to look forward to next year with camp around the corner even quickly coming around, and they're going to be looking at players. So if you're interested in trying out for the Thunderbirds, reach out to the organization. A great organization to play for. Trust me, I have played there in one of my 4 years of playing the NOJHL, and definitely a great organization to go for. And hopefully both Joey and John can come by next week or the following week to discuss this year, the playoffs from their perspective and how ended on a sour note, and also looking ahead to next season, what the plans are for the organization. Brad, to go to the last kind of topic of this second part of the show, I like to call it, the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. My oh my. I kind of started to see a trend here with the show, and that trend is how right we have been with a lot of predictions. I'm sorry to sound conceited or high-headed or big-headed or fat-headed, whatever term you want to go with, but I can give less of a damn in terms of if I do sound that way, because it's true. We have been. with predictions of the NOJHL series, the OHL with the Hounds having a tough challenge with the Owen Sound attack. We said this was going to be their tough series. Not the next series, when or if they go, not the first year. This was going to be the series. And we've also had predictions with the NHL and other things too, not to just toot our own horns, but at the end of the day, the Hounds are in a tight series right now, and you being part of Soo today and being part working with the Hounds and obviously the NOJHL and all sports as well locally, you being really tied in. I want to get your perspective on the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds tying up the series in Owen Sound last night. They do play tomorrow night here at the ISR Center, where I'll be at the game, yourself will be at the game. Definitely be a game we want to go check out and watch. The puck drop is at 7:07. The puck drop there at the SR Center, where we get your butts on out and support the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. Get out there, it's going to be a packed house. But Brad, they tied up the series. It's been a tough series for the Hounds. It hasn't been easy. They've been tested. And this series is tied 2-2. Now it's down to a best of 3. Talk about last night's game. What do the Hounds have to do tomorrow? And what do the Hounds have to do to complete this series and come on the victory side?
You know what? I mean, this is a team that took advantage of, an Owen Sound team that was maybe beat up a little bit. Owen Sound had a couple major pieces out in Trenton Bork and Jonah Gadjevich. We don't know a lot. We talked about it off air. Owen Sound doesn't say very much in terms of their injury situation. So we don't know as of yet whether either guy is going to play tomorrow night. But for the Greyhounds, I mean, this is a team that, during the first 3 games got a little bit better. Still wasn't playing that great, but got a little bit better. And then all of a sudden in Game 4, they seemed to put it together. That was easily their best 3 periods of hockey in the series. That first period was absolutely outstanding. It was a team that just went out and, Drew Bannister said it to me after Game 3. I was on the road with them, and he said it after Game 3. That was a team that, for all intents and purposes, every playoff game is a must-win, but that was a little bigger than most. You don't want to go down 3-1 in that series to that Owen Sound team, and they went out and got the job done. Owen Sound is a tough place to play in. It's a building where, we compared it to Puller Stadium locally. It's a tough building to play in. It's a small facility. People feel like they're right on top of you, and it seems like although the ice surface is standard at 200 by 85, it feels like the neutral zone in that building is a lot smaller. I said it to Justin, and it felt like at one point Tim Gettinger at 6'4", I think he is, went through the neutral zone, and it honest to God felt like he took 2 strides to get through the neutral zone in that building. But you know what? The Greyhounds found a way. At the end of the day, they found a way to win, and this is a team that needs to go out and get the job done here tomorrow night in Game 5.
Absolutely they do, and at the end of the day, the Hounds are in a predicament where they're being tested, and they have the home ice advantage tomorrow. They have to capitalize on that, where they've been extremely successful at the SR Center. So Hounds fans, bring out your bumper smashers, or I forget what they're called, the sticks there that bump together, the noise sticks, thunder sticks. There you go. Bring those out. Bring out your towels, or wear your red. Bring out and support the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. This is the team that we expect that can do it, but Owen Sound is making it very interesting. And it seems like, Justin, the Hounds this kind of relates to actually what myself and Jamie were talking about yesterday, how mentality in sports can affect. Now, I'm not quoting Don Cherry here by any means, so please, Sault Ste. Marie-ites, fellow Sioux-ites, refrain from the tasers for a second. I'm saying that there's a possibility, maybe, the Hounds maybe went into this series a little bit overconfident from their last series. And I said last night on the show, not referring to the Hounds, I said in general in sports, if a team is seated higher or is more of a supremacy to another team, sometimes they go in, the mentality is not the same. Professional sports, it still happens. I know people say, it's professional athletes, you don't think different of less of each other. Trust me. When you're a first seed playing an 8th seed, you think that's easier. When you're a first seed playing a 4th seed, whatever it may be, 6th seed, and this predicament, it's the first seed against the 4th seed. So obviously Owen Sound's a good hockey club. We've said that. The Hounds know that. But do you think the Hounds went in there a little bit overconfident? Do you think maybe the first round series against Saginaw was something that, as we judged, would be maybe a bad thing because it was too easy of a series for them, as we didn't predict? I actually predicted the Hounds to win in 5 in that first series. So there's one thing I got wrong. But in general, the Hounds, did they go in a little too overconfident? Did they smarten up now with this Game 4? Or is that completely wrong? And the second part of the question, is mentality affect still at the junior level in terms of if you're a higher seed than another team?
I mean, speaking from experience and being on different teams, being a 1 seed, playing a lower seed, yeah, your mentality is definitely. You're just being cocky. That's all it is. As far as...
We're not saying they were being cocky.
No, and by no means. I mean, to me, to what it looked like, is the Hounds finally got a test. Like, they hadn't really had a test in the last little while. Like, it's been a pretty comfy start to 2018 as far as it went in Greyhound land there. And Owen Sound was healthy and hungry. The Greyhounds, I feel, came off a pretty easy couple games, and then they had a nice little break, which is another thing they haven't really had a whole lot of. And you get used to the NOJHL schedule, which is pretty rigid as far as flexibility goes. I think there's not weekends and maybe one Wednesday or Thursday game. That's what you're looking at. Now, as far as the playoffs go, you could be boom, 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 4 games, and then you're off for a little bit. You got to wait for your opponent, or you could be right back into it. To me, it just seems like the Hounds had a little bit too much time off without game speed, and they didn't really seem to adjust to Owen Sound as quickly as maybe the fans would have liked. And Owen, like Brad and I said earlier, Owen Sound isn't a bad team. They're not by any means whatsoever. They dealt with a lot of injuries this year. Brad enlightened me to the fact that Owen Sound was probably the best team in the second half of the season. So, I mean, facts are facts. There's athletes playing other athletes. The will to win is there, and the playoffs is a whole new season. So, and Dave said earlier, we got a best-of-3 series here, and let's see what happens. Hopefully they bring it tomorrow night.
That game tomorrow, goes without saying, is the turning point of that series, especially if they go back to Owen Sound down 1. Hounds shooting themselves in the foot is actually a term I want to use, but they're putting themselves in a predicament that is almost setting them up to fail. They have the team to definitely come back, because as we said, be defeating them in a 7-game series we couldn't see, but like we said, though, Owen Sound is a team that will test them, in my opinion, and professional opinion. Brad, any kind of final thoughts with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds before we wrap up the topic?
You know what? This is a team that finally played their best game in the series in Game 4. I have no reason to believe they're not going to continue that in Game 5 at home. This is a team that hasn't had a long stretch of playing poor hockey, and I think we've seen them turn the corner. I felt like the Greyhounds were going to win the series in 6. I'm sticking by that, but like you said, tomorrow night is a turning point in that series.
We did say that, Hounds in 6. Just say, and you can rewind to other shows here. We did say Hounds in 6 in this series that they're currently in. The Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds again tomorrow at the SR Center at 7:07 is puck drop. Get your asses out to the SR Center to enjoy some great Greyhound playoff hockey. Fellas, quick break. We're going to take right now. We're going to sip on these Molson products that we're enjoying. Enjoy the spicy pierogi pizza that we're sort of demolishing between the three of us right now. And we're also going to hear from our sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to be discussing NHL as the playoffs got underway yesterday. And for me and Justin, the playoffs got underway today. Well, sort of. The Winnipeg Jets were playing yesterday. We're going to talk about the games yesterday, and we're going to talk about the games today, and we're going to talk about the playoffs in general and that playoff picture. Since last week when we were on the show, we didn't really have the playoff picture really cemented yet. So having it cemented, we're going to analyze game ones that have happened and are happening right now as we speak, and games going forward, and have playoff discussion. And we're also going to have our famous multiple choice segment, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on The Game Sports Show.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional home to the Game Sports Show, Canadian franchise Boston Pizza. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, located on 601 Great Northern Road, Sault Ste. Marie. Come in and join Boston Pizza for its numerous specials that are offered. After 9 p.m. daily, come in to Boston Pizza for $9 schooners, $4 rail drinks, and delicious food. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, you're among friends.
Thank you for tuning in to the Game Sports Show, broadcasting Thursday nights from Boston Pizza in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and online at thegamesportshow.podbean.com. I hope you're enjoying the broadcast. Now, if you want to hear more of the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national talk show involving the world of sports, I encourage you to visit our website, thegamesportshow.com. GameSportShow.com. There you can hear a couple other broadcasts of the Game Sports Show. Monday nights, we do the game from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street in downtown Sioux, Michigan, 6 to 7 o'clock on the radio. WUPN, Eagle 95.1 locally, or online at RadioEagleSoo.com. Now, the full 2-hour show can be heard on the podcast page of the game at thegamesportshow.podbean.com, or you can go to our YouTube channel. Just look for Scott Nason in that one, as yours truly, along with Dave McKeag and our weekly contributors, Butch Davis from the Telegram News and Butch on Sports, along with EJ Russell on the Team Wireless Hot Seat. We focus on local, regional, and national sports, including high school basketball and hockey, junior hockey, Laker athletics, and the Detroit sports scene. And Mr. Electric Avenue Dave McKeag also broadcasts a show on Wednesday night from Sports Center Bar and Grill in Sioux, Ontario, along with his regular contributors Jamie Antonello, Justin Heichel, and Dane Hantro. They focus on football with their In the Pocket segment, talking about the NFL along with basketball and the NBA, and other sports including tennis, golf, soccer, and the WWE. Once again, you can hear all 3 versions of the game at our website, thegamesportshow.com, or our podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. You can also find us on YouTube. Just look for the Scott Nason channel. And thank you for listening, and keep it locked here to the game for all your local, regional, and national sports talk that you just can't get enough of.
Hi, this is Paul Maurice from the Winnipeg Jets, and you're listening to the Game Sports Show.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. It's yours truly, David McKeag, here live at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, where we've been here all night, as we're here every Thursday and after 9 p.m. for their daily specials, the $4 bar rails, the $9 schooners from mostly Canadian Coors Light, and their 50% off appetizers, and just the great food and atmosphere in general. It's always a packed house here at Boston Pizza, and we're always getting stared at. Myself, Brad, Justin, and Dane when he's here, and guests. In terms of the show, everyone enjoys the show here at Boston Pizza, and we enjoy giving you the show here at Boston Pizza, along with giving you the show on Wednesdays and Mondays, Wednesdays from Sports Center Bar and Grill, and Mondays from the Wicked Sister over in Sioux, Michigan. And we love giving the show on the Podbean page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com, and the website, www.thegamesportshow.com. Once again, reminder, the trivia question that was actually from last week was answered incorrectly. It's been the question again this week. Which jersey in Boston Pizza on the bar side is not signed? Send your answer to the Game Sports Show, ssm@gmail.com. It's been myself, Brad, and Justin for the night here on April the 12th. A spring with a question mark? Spring-ish / winter weather outside here in Sault Ste. Marie. Justin, you and I are going to jump on into the NHL topic. We're going to get a little bit of brief points from Brad as well with this, but the National Hockey League playoffs have begun, my friend. And are you excited? Because let me tell you, I am. And a big part of it is because our team is in it. But now the playoffs starting, all the excitement from all the seasons blowing up until now, and it's all been leading up to the playoffs. And it all started last night, Wednesday, with the Winnipeg Jets playing Minnesota, Pittsburgh playing Philly, Vegas playing the Kings. There's a quick recap. 3-2 Jets over the Wild. Pittsburgh absolutely shellacking the Flyers 7-0. And Vegas, a 1-0 victory with Drew Doughty getting a suspension. So that's another win for Vegas. I call that another win on top of that for one of the league's best defensemen to be suspended, but definitely not a win for Carrick, who took the headshot there from Drew Doughty. Definitely a deservable suspension. But Justin, yesterday didn't disappoint with games with the whiteout in Winnipeg. Tonight, now that we sit here at Boston Pizza, currently 2-2 with Nashville, Colorado, as we discuss. San Jose and Anaheim are underway. Tampa Bay defeated the New Jersey Devils 5-2. And our Maple Leafs losing 5-1 against the Boston Bruins. Yikes. And Columbus Blue Jackets winning 4-3 in overtime in Washington. So, Justin, we're going to just talk about all the playoffs. We're going to talk about yesterday's games first to start off before we jump into today's game and the Toronto side of our show that we discuss. Winnipeg. Man, you and I have sat here, friend and listener of the show and someone who's been on the sports show, Paul Maurice and the Winnipeg Jets winning 3-2 against the Minnesota Wild. That fan base was electric last night. That Jets team is something to watch, is it not?
And the Jets definitely looked really good last night.
Yep.
It was... The Jets had to come out and win, though. To me, like, Minnesota didn't really have any expectations. Like, they're... All right, Suter's hurt. You know, it's... You're playing the Jets. The Jets are kind of the Titan of the West right now. And good luck. But I watched quite a bit of that game last night, and it was pretty evenly matched, going back and forth there, at least in the first and the second. And like the fans in Winnipeg got quieted down a couple times. So I mean, Minnesota didn't look as bad suitorless as I think everyone expected them to. That being said, I don't think that the Jets are going to lose that series, but I mean, still, it's nice to have a competitive series there over the 7-0 baseball game we had in Pittsburgh. Was it in Pittsburgh or was it? It was in Pittsburgh.
Yes, it was.
And that's they kept Elliott in for 5 of them, I think, and then put Mrazek in, and then they gave Elliott the vote of confidence again for the next game. Like, just put him out to pasture. Just run, Yeller. Keep running. Don't turn around. Just keep going.
Sign Brizgalov.
Well, that's the thing. All the Brizgalov's trying to get the fans on board to get him brought back into Philly right now. I mean, he's not afraid of a bear in the woods, so bring him back.
Pretty much a bear in the woods.
Well, 7 goals, bear in the woods, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, Philly just kind of. I would have liked to have seen Florida in instead, to be totally honest.
Vegas 1-0 over LA, and they say that the best defenseman on Las Vegas was none other than listener of the show, friend of the show, who you can listen on a previous show a couple weeks ago, Colin Miller. He put on a great game yesterday. He had a rough last game of the year with a -3, I believe he was, in his last game of the season. But he logged a ton of minutes yesterday. Vegas was playing him. He was playing smart, two-way hockey, the way that we know Colin Miller. Actually, I lied. I kind of know Colin Miller from the offensive side of the puck when I grew up playing with him, against him. But with Colin Miller now learning the two-way side of the game, using his size to his effectiveness and power play skills, and PK Miller was fantastic. And 1-0 the Flower, getting a shutout against the Los Angeles Kings, a team that's not a joke up front with Kopitar and all the fellas they have on up front, and a team that's pretty hot going into the end of the season, going into the playoffs. But Drew Doughty is a big part of that game, where we know Drew Doughty is out with suspension. Brad, we saw the video of Drew Doughty. That was a deservable suspension, don't you think?
Yeah, totally. That's one of those ones. I mean, we talked about headshots before. That's one that 100% deserved to be a suspension. And again, playoff time, we get situations where sometimes maybe the suspensions are a little shorter than they would normally be in the regular season. But definitely a situation where Doughty needed to be suspended. And that's obviously a massive hit to the LA Kings.
It definitely is. And speaking of suspensions, we're going to get to something that's going to be a suspension that probably won't be announced till tomorrow, unless the NHL's already on it, which I'm sure they pretty much are, and not going to say what that is. You listeners probably know exactly what we're talking about, especially by the time you hear the full amount of this podcast or live broadcast of it. Either way, whatever you're hearing it of, you're going to say, yeah, we know what we're going to say. But we're going to still save that for just a few moments. We'll get to that. That's yesterday's games. Jets taking a 1-0 lead. Pittsburgh obviously taking a 1-0 lead. You may as well call a sweep. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. I'm expert opinions. I think it's going to be a good game tomorrow in Pittsburgh. I think it's going to be a little bit better. And Vegas taking a 1-0 lead as well. All 3 teams that are favored to start on top have started on top. Now tonight, Thursday, as I mentioned, Nashville, Colorado are currently in action while we speak in the second period, 2-2, and it's been a game. As per Justin Heichel has been saying how he's been more so looking to, and I've been trying to keep as much as we go here. This game is really action-packed. It seems like Colorado is not a joke team. They're going to give Nashville a push. This team was hot all year, and they're probably the surprise team to come in the playoffs. Then you go San Jose and Anaheim being tied, locked at 0-0. Tampa Bay 5-2 over New Jersey. It was 3-2 at one point. New Jersey battled back, but Tampa Bay looking like the superior team, taking a 1-0 series lead. Columbus winning overtime 4-3 against Washington, battling back from being down 2-0.
That Columbus series. What's with Washington starting Grubauer instead of Holtby?
Definitely something that's surprising, fair to say. The Washington Capitals are a team that, let's say, are cursed when it comes to the playoffs.
Well, they're the East.
And let me tell you that Braden Holtby had a rough go to end the season, I believe, and it was announced, that Grubauer got the start and Columbus gets the win, so you got to predict that they're probably going to go to Holtby for game 2, potentially. But with Columbus getting the swim, being up 1-0, that definitely caught people by surprise. But that's the expert side. Myself, I see Columbus defeating Washington in the series. I really do. I think Columbus is a very tough team to play against in a 7-game series. They can really dry you down. But there's another game that I have to mention here. The Boston Bruins defeating the Toronto Maple Leafs 5-1. Game 1 at TD Garden. That Pastrnak, Marchand, Bergeron line seems like that's the line that Toronto has to shut down. And didn't take a right step in the right direction as our third-line center who's been shutting down everybody this year, Nazem Kadri, as I was saying a few moments ago, this is speaking of suspensions, made an idiotic play in the heat of the moment. Mad, though. After Marner took a couple hits from both Chara and Wingles all at once, Kadri comes on in and hits Wingles while he's down against the boards and sort of lifts his feet up off the ice a tad and turns his back and hits his head against the boards. Kadri getting kicked out of the game and most likely going to be out for Game 2, as if Stouty got a suspension, you got to say Kadri's going to get the suspension. But Justin, before we jump into the Toronto game, we're going to do that last. Between Tampa and Columbus, the games have completed. Tampa Bay, Platt had a great game, getting 3 points. Tampa Bay just seems like the superior team to New Jersey as I watched them play. Kincaid being in net as Schneider sat on the bench. I wonder if they're going to go over to Schneider for Game 2. It's almost like a Washington situation there. But Columbus right now, they have the capabilities to defeat Washington. So between Tampa series that started tonight and the Columbus series, what are some points you want to predict and shoot out here?
Well, I mean, I thought that Tampa-New Jersey series was going to be a lot closer than that game tonight. I was flipping back and forth between the Leafs intermissions there, but they were pretty well timed, exactly the same. But Tampa, like, watching that Leafs-New Jersey game last week, like, New Jersey looked like a well-oiled machine. Watching New Jersey against Tampa tonight, and fun fact, New Jersey beat Tampa all 3 games this season. Like, Tampa didn't beat New Jersey at all this year. And Tampa came out and just made New Jersey look like,
especially the first 2 periods,
a bottom-of-the-barrel team. Like, yeah.
Periods, yeah.
I mean, and maybe you're right. Maybe they throw Schneider in net and they pull it together a little bit. I mean, it's only Game 1. Like, we don't want to overanalyze in Game 1 here. But I thought that series definitely was going to be a little closer and a lot more physical than it was. Like, I kind of figured whoever came out of that series was going to be pretty banged up. As far as the Columbus-Washington one goes, like, I kind of thought Washington had that, to be totally honest, tonight.
2-0.
Like, Washington looked like they were playing pretty confident, and so I tuned out of that game, and then you told me they won, or Columbus won. Like, so, I mean, Columbus is maybe a little scrappier than they thought they were. And Pittsburgh definitely maybe picked up on that last week, and maybe we should have paid a little more attention here. As far as the Leafs go tonight, I think the Leafs got beat in the first period, and I don't think they played the game that they can play for the second and the third. I think the Leafs are going to need to match Boston a little more physically in the first and the next game, because Boston tuckered out as far as the physical game went in the second and the third. And to touch on the Kadri thing a little bit, it's a stupid, passionate move, and it's frustrating to see because you, as a Leafs fan, you watch a player like Kadri develop so well this year, and getting that nonsense out of his game. And then it seems like Marchand, or playing Boston, one of those two gets in his head, and he just acts like a loser again. Like, is that the right word for it? Because, like, there was a knee-on-knee earlier in the game that there was a no call on. There was a couple times where he left his feet. And, like, I'm a Leafs fan saying this against a Boston team that I hate.
That's
like,
not, we don't use
not dislike, hate. Like, that's... Like, you just can't do stuff like that. That's stuff that none of us want to see in the game. You're just going to hurt people. Like, I don't want to beat a team by hurting their players. I want to beat a team by beating them.
100%. And Kadri making, as we said, an idiotic, passionate play, or the right term to use it. And as you said, it's definitely a play Kadri wasn't thinking, in the Leafs in general in this game didn't match the intensity out of the gate that the Boston Bruins provided. And the Toronto Maple Leafs tied up the game before going to the first intermission, but after that, when it came out in the second, it seemed like Toronto drifted off. It seemed like Boston getting that 3-1 lead, it kind of diminished Toronto's hopes, and they kind of couldn't cope, and Boston came out flying. And that line of Marchand, Bergeron, and Pastrnak, that's the line that you have to stop. this series, it seems like. If you shut down that line, you are going to win that series. I'm going to say that flat out right now. It's different if you shut out Austin. Like, don't get me wrong, there's Nash, there's Backus, there's guys that did well tonight as well. But in Krejci, there's Boston's team goes on as well. But at the end of the day, if you shut down Austin Matthews' line, Toronto still has JVR Bozak. They still had Kadri's line. They won't have Kadri next game, in my opinion. But I think Toronto has more weapons up front, while Boston has a bit more weapons defensively. And in goal, they're evenly matched. This series is going to go 6-7 games. My prediction was Toronto in 6, which means they'll have to win 4 of the next 5 games, which is very doable, especially if they could steal one at home or steal one from Boston from home and then go back to Toronto tied 1-1. I love Toronto's chances. At home against the Boston Bruins. Toronto was 3-1 against Boston this year. Anderson's 10-1 lifetime against Boston. I think Toronto will bounce back game 2. And I'm surprised they actually didn't put McElhinney in net after it was 4-1. I think maybe they should have pulled Anderson, get him out of there. I know when the Leafs were down or up 4-1 in the Game 7 in 2013, Boston battled back, but that's a complete different animal and cooking in the past. So at the end of the day, I believe that they should have pulled Anderson. Kadri made an idiotic play, and for Toronto to get back into the series, they have to match Boston's intensity out of the gate, because I was taught every time as a player and know this as a coach that home teams in the playoffs feed off the fans' energy right off the hop. If you can shut down the team that's the home team within the first 5 minutes of the game, you're able to contend with them all game, and you can match their intensity, which therefore can bring success in the final buzzer of the game. So Toronto to match their intensity and to play the game that they know how and shoot the puck on net, not missing that in the power play, capitalize on those power plays, that's big. And the last thing, stay out of the box against Boston. That home crowd in Boston, where they get traffic in front and crash, I don't want Boston on the power play against Toronto's penalty kill. Even though it's a pretty effective penalty kill, you got to stay out of the box. So it's not playing stupid, matching intensity, staying out of the box, and capitalizing on chances. Those are the 4 big things that I think went away from this game, and those are big components to win a hockey game.
Well, and one of the other big ones to me tonight was like the Leafs play on their penalty kill. It was disorganized nonsense. Like, you had guys out there for like a minute 15. Why do you have guys out for a minute 15 on a penalty kill? It doesn't. To me, it didn't make a lot of sense. Like, you're tuckering out the guys you needed to make plays. So, I mean, and capitalizing on the power play as well. Like, our special teams tonight weren't. And there was something to be desired. And maybe that's first game jitters. Maybe that's Boston feeding off the crowd more so in Boston. So, I mean, moving forward, game 2 is a whole new animal, and we'll see what we got there.
Like that, good stuff, Justin. Brad, I'm going to go with you to kind of wrap up the playoff topic quick, just get your point in. Exciting last few days it's been for the playoffs, in my opinion. I want to get your opinion for the past 2 days. If you were excited, I know you were traveling, do a lot of roads, so I know yours has been a lot of over-shoulder watching, phone watching. But has the playoffs the last 2 nights met your criteria of excitement so far? And, you know, from last night, the whiteout in Winnipeg, tonight Toronto losing 5-1 to Boston in a series that we know games are going to be tighter, but you have also games between Nashville and Colorado, but maybe people undermined it. That obviously is very exciting. You have Pittsburgh's blowout. Well, with all those points, the playoffs, have they met the criteria thus far, you feel?
Totally. I mean, this is, regardless of whether your team is in it or not, and let's face it, I'm a Red Wing fan. So I'm a fan of a team who's not in the playoffs right now. So this is, this is still a fun time of year. It's an exciting time of year. I think any NHL playoff action usually meets my expectation. So it's exciting. I mean, it's always going to be exciting. And, let's face it, if you're a hockey fan, this is the time of year you're looking forward to.
Absolutely. Quick thing, I'll go around the table. Doughty getting suspension, was that warranted? And will Kadri get one? Brad?
Yes on both. Doughty...
Speaking of suspensions, we've talked about that a lot in this show.
Yeah, no kidding. The Doughty hit, like I said, a blindside hit. And the Kadri thing, like I said, I respect him. You mentioned it. You respect the guy for standing up for a teammate, but that's also a situation where that's for fight. He could have stayed and grabbed him and fought. Yeah, like there's so many different ways he could have handled that, and I definitely I don't think it's a long suspension, but I think he sits out a game or 2.
I echo exactly what Brad said. Justin?
To be totally honest, I agree with both suspensions and just a stat that I came across right now this instant. Being without Kadri in the lineup the next game, Kadri had 17 minutes in penalties tonight, and that's without taking a fighting major. 17 penalty minutes. That's 17 minutes we were shorthanded tonight. So maybe we don't need him next game, and he can cool his jets hanging out.
And go back at home in Toronto for Game 3 on Monday. Fellas, that wraps up our little playoff topic. Next week when we come back, when we come to the show next week, we're going to be deep into the playoffs. We're going to be Game 3, 4s are going to be completed by then. So we'll have lots to discuss when it comes to that next week. But, fellas, we're not done yet, as of course, we got our famous multiple choice segment. And what the multiple choice segment is, if the listeners have been living under a rock and they don't know fully, let me re-explain it for you. We have a series of questions that we each bring to the table each week. We give that question aloud. We state options from 3 to 4 options. And it's used like multiple choice. You circle one or the other. That's all it is. You circle one and you got to go with that, and you provide a very brief reason for your answer. And Brad, if it's cool, and then go over to yours first. You get you the first crack. Now, I'm going to state the question. You're going to give me the options. That's the way we'll do it this week. Your question is, big surprise the last 2 days of the playoffs. Now, the possible answers are...
Now, we kept it simple. There's 2 options for the first 2 days.
I like that.
The one is Columbus picking up a Game 1 win. And let's face it, Braden Holtby not starting Game 1 for Washington. I mean, for me, I would say Braden Holtby. I mean, that's, to me, that was a surprise. As much as there's been, struggles at times for him, I figured he was the de facto number 1 for them, and I figured he was going to be the guy that Washington was going to ride in the playoffs.
Like that, giving the questions and answering it right away. That's good right there. Good initiative, leadership right there. Justin, you're second, though. Between those 2 options, going with the 2 questions.
For me, I'm saying Holtby. Mostly because I thought he was in net until I saw the back of the jersey. So I knew Grubauer was good, but I didn't think you'd just start him over Braden Holtby. That's all. Braden Holtby to me is one of those guys you start at the end.
Wow, like that. And fellas, we're gonna have a clean sweep. Holtby not getting the start. Very surprised. Like, nothing against Grubauer, but Holtby, that's one of the best goalies in the National Hockey League, in my opinion. Second question. We're going to go to mine. And fellas, I was really thinking of a lot of different reasons for this. Okay? And I got 3 options, and one of them was going to be the other. But the question I have, the best playoff moment. And the reason I'm not going to give another, because there's probably a lot of different reasons I'm not going to bring to the table. But these are the ones that I was kind of discussing today in my head. And we've had some coworkers at work trying to get some feedback on the question. Best playoff moment. Brett Hall getting the cup winner with his foot in the crease. We know how much controversy that still causes today. Second, Ray Bourque lifting that Stanley Cup makes you realize all your dreams come true. And the Detroit Red Wings winning the cup against the Philadelphia Flyers. Individual got in the accidents. Vladimir I needed to get that right. Vladimir Konstantinov. That is the third. There's an incident that happened with the Detroit Red Wings. So the answers are Brett Hall, Ray Bourque, or Vladimir Konstantinov when he was able to hold that cup or see it when Nick Lindstrom and Stevie Yzerman brought it over to him in 98. So I'm going to answer first because Brad started that trend tonight with answering it first. I don't want there to be a clean sweep because I think I know what one's going to be, but I'm going to go with Ray Bourque. I like seeing Ray Bourque lift that Stanley Cup after a long time, lifting that cup, winning it in Colorado. The tears and the sweat and all the hard work from that year and his emotion of the game. And Joe Sakic going to that cup and literally barely lifting it over his shoulders and calling Ray Bourque over. Saying, this is yours, buddy. Lift up this cup. And that's a proud moment. That's where you get shivers down your spine. And that's why you love the game, is for that typical reason. So I got to go with Ray Bourque, and I'm actually going to go to Justin second.
I mean, mine's going to be quick and easy. I'm taking Ray Bourque. just the pure emotion. Like, that's one of those
I
moments.
was wrong about the clean sweep.
It's one of those moments in sports that cements itself in your mind. Like, just to see how genuinely happy he was when he got to hold that cup. That one stands out in my mind for sure.
Brad, deciding factor here, pal. I know exactly where you're going.
There's no clean sweep on this question, boys. And it's funny you changed the other to that Detroit Red Wings situation, because when I saw the other option, that was the first thing that came to my mind. Was Vladimir Konstantinov getting the Stanley Cup in 1998. It was just such an amazing thing. And you know what? Let's face it, Ray Bourque is, a very close second for me in that. There's something special about that Ray Bourque situation as well. But I mean, as a Red Wing fan, that whole situation, and the accident after the '97 Cup final when Darren McCarty undressed a Philly defenseman and undressed Philly's goaltender at the time and scored that game winner in Game 4 to win 2-1, and the subsequent accident, and it was just an amazing situation to see Vladimir Konstantinov be able to take the cup, and have it. It was just it's one of those things. I mean, both those moments are really great, and Ray Bourque as well. But that Red Wing situation, that Red Wing moment was just absolutely unbelievable.
That's definitely something that gives shivers down your spine too. But for sure, something why you enjoy hockey as well. Definitely great. I think great options there. I'll toot my own horn, even though the Brett Hall one was kind of outmatched there by the Ray Bourque Detroit options. Third and final question, going to Justin Heichel. Justin, I'm going to take the question. You give the teams that you're providing in this question. A little spoiler there. Who is the surprise team in the first round of the NHL playoffs 2018?
What are the teams?
So we're going to choose from Colorado, Columbus, or San Jose, because they don't really ever do anything. And I mean, me personally, seeing the games I've watched so far tonight, and just what I've formulated opinions in my head, I want to take the younger-looking San Jose Sharks and see that maybe they roll over Anaheim and move on to the second round and see what they can do.
Short and sweet. Brad, I'll go to you second.
You know what? It's funny. A few weeks ago, we talked about potential wild card surprise teams.
Yeah,
and two of the teams on this list
are there.
Were on that list.
Absolutely, they are.
My team at that time was
right?
Yeah, my team at that point was the Columbus Blue Jackets, but I will say at this point the Colorado Avalanche. I mean, this is a team that I don't know that I anticipated. And let's face it, Game 1 is, as we're on the air, is long from over. But this Colorado team has surprised me here on day 2 of the playoffs.
Like that. Fellas, sorry, no clean sweep. All different options. I'm still going Columbus because everyone has them against Washington. I didn't. This is a team that's going to defeat the Washington Capitals and go on to play the Pittsburgh Penguins. And Dubinsky Crosby round 3 is going to end up happening. I think Columbus will give a better fight than Washington will to the Pittsburgh Penguins. So that's my surprise team. Out of these 3 questions, don't be shy to reach out to myself, Justin, or Brad and give your answers to them. Be curious to know. What was your favorite Stanley Cup moment as well? You were surprised the last 2 days and the surprise in the first round. As there's a lot of things in the National Hockey League that has occurred the last few days with goals, with news, and obviously being overshadowed by the tragedy of the Humboldt Broncos as well. So you got to look at it and enjoy these playoff games and enjoy moments with friends as well. And I won't get into a full detail about how one should enjoy life, but let me tell you that the times that you enjoy with friends, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, so enjoy the present. Fun little knowledge from Dave McKeag? Question mark. I did write that, I promise. I promise. But, Brad, Justin, next week, we're going to be here at Boston Pizza. Yours truly has a finals men's league game that can win the men's league title at 10:30. So we're going to be here at 9 o'clock on Thursday. It's going to be an hour-long show, so I can go hoist that cup. Brad, you good for next week, pal?
Absolutely. I wouldn't have it any other way.
And I appreciate you coming by tonight as always, too.
Hey, always happy to be here.
enjoy some pizza, some food, in general, the beers, the time with friends. Speaking of time with friends, and Justin, my longtime co-host / analyst / individual with beard. I like giving random things out to you every day. Not left straights. These always little things. Justin, thanks for coming by. And next week?
Always, buddy. Maybe a few less hairs with if we have any more games like we had tonight, but I'll be here next week.
Good stuff, gentlemen. I want to give a special shout out to Scott Nason as well. I usually like to bring him on in the introduction portion. I apologize I didn't state his name at the beginning. That's usually the first guy going through my head. You can ask these guys beside me right now. It's always the first guy going through my head. But Scott Nason, the board operator, as always tonight. I want to thank the beautiful Lauren. I was waiting for the easy.
I was about to say Mitch.
To say the Mitch. Mitch Wilson, the bringer of beer, is not here today. The bringer of beer is not here today. I almost right. Bringer of beer is not here. The lacquer bringer of beer is not here. Damn. That's nice. But he's going to have that on his shirt.
Probably got the night off for the Avs game.
That's right. He probably does have the night off. Good point. But I want to thank Lauren. And also Ashlyn as well, who does a great job as well. And to Aaron Grisdak, always, in Boston Pizza in general, for providing great hospitality to the Game Sports Show in general, as it's one of the homes of the Game Sports Show. And a list of our additional sponsors as well here in the Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario side, and Sault, Michigan. Over here in Sault, Ontario, Sports Center Bar and Grill, another home. Discover the Canvas, the Salon, Superior Pro Shop, Big Brother Big Sister, and Northern Critters in Need. And over in Sault, Michigan, the Wicked Sister and Pingator Cleaners. And for the agenda of the show, once again, a friendly reminder: Mondays, the Wicked Sister, 6 to 7 p.m., live, 7 to 8 pre-recorded. And Wednesdays, Sports Center Bar and Grill here in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, 9:30 to 11. And then every Thursday here at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, from 9:30 until 11 as well. Next week will be from 9 until 10 p.m. as yours truly goes towards lifting the men's league title in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, as that's the only title I'm going to get close to in any near future. And you can follow the show on thegamesportshow.podbean.com or www.thegamesportshow.com, and even look at Scott Nason's soon-to-be The Game Sports Show YouTube channel, but Scott Nason at this current point, and that's where you could follow us. And for the trivia question, a reminder: come into Boston Pizza to get your answer if you want. Just come in and look. That's the spoiler I'm going to give, as we had no correct answer last week. Come into Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie. There's a jersey in here that is not signed. Which one is in it? Is not signed, sorry. Which jersey is not signed? Send your answer to the Game Sports Show, ssm@gmail.com, and state the question following the answer to the question. And, well, it's been a great week. Hashtag Humboldt Strong. Supporters out there for Humboldt, a tragedy. You're in our thoughts, you're in our prayers, and condolences out to the family as well. And make sure you donate to the GoFundMe page. And also, enjoy all the sports that go on. All the sports that are here. And we, the Game Sports Show, the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show, is here to provide you up-to-date news 3 times a week. And always at your disposal for questions on Facebook, Twitter, or thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Now, for the famous new conclusion of the Game Sports Show, Sault Ste. Marie, keep your stick on the ice, swing your bat, score your touchdown, and drain your threes, and shoot your shots. Booyah. Until next week, Dave McKeag signing off on behalf of Justin, on behalf of Brad, and Scott Nason and Boston Pizza. To all out there, have a great night.